Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AI News channel. So I promised that I would continue this series and continue to cover the impacts of AI and how the rapid rollout of AI tools and AI technology is causing massive disruption in particularly the job market, especially in the United States, but also worldwide. So I wanted to go over a few articles that kind of track the most recent timeline of these developments to where we are currently, and then share where I think things are headed. So the World Economic Forum, if you are not familiar, I highly encourage that you visit their website and take a look. I will drop the links to all of the articles in the description box, but I highly urge you to go and just review some of the articles on their website so that you can get up to date with for yourself and see where things are headed. So the World Economic Forum is basically a think tank and policy setting organization for many countries in the West, Europe, United States, Canada, but as their name indicates, for the world at large. So the first article we're going to go over is from January 3rd, 2024, and it's titled, "Why We Must Bridge the Skills Gap to Harness the Power of AI." So I'm going to take a step back and just kind of set the stage here. So if you are not aware, employers have been complaining for decades, really, that there's a skills gap when it comes to applicants and employees. They have been really, complaining, like I said, over several decades, that employees, recent college graduates, simply lack the skills needed to compete globally in today's world and in today's job marketplace. So that's sort of the base where I want to start. As you know, I cover a lot of this information. I read a lot of books on world policy, economic policy, technology, and more. And this seems to be a pretext for where we're headed. What do I mean by that? The notion that people, humanity, employees, workers, aren't skilled, they lack skills, seems to be the basis for the urgency, among other uses, but it's certainly one of them that we see affecting people right now. And has been and will continue to do so. This notion that people simply lack the skills, and their needs, because of that, something needs to be done. So enter AI. This article kind of goes over that. So why we must bridge the skills gap to harness the power of AI. Again, this is by the World Economic Forum. This was written in published January 3rd, 2024. So this article, they open it by stating that it's a part of the World Economic Forum annual meeting, which they have every year, and they talk about a wide range of topics affecting major employers, organizations, countries globally. So some of the points out of this meeting is that executives estimate that 40% of their workforce will need to reskill in the next 3 years as a result of implementing artificial intelligence. Okay, so fair enough. AI is an emerging technology, and executives estimate that about 40% of their workforce will need to reskill just to familiarize themselves and to be able to better work with the tool and understand AI. No issue there. Sounds good. The next point is we, so this is the executives of major companies globally. It doesn't mention exactly who at this point, but says that we need to make reskilling a strategic imperative to capitalize on this technology while minimizing disruption. So they recognize and acknowledge that AI is going to be disruptive, but at least in January of 2024, there was a desire to minimize that disruption. The next point is the commoditization of AI will be a change agent for the reskilling revolution. So it goes on to discuss the AI revolution, the potential benefits, massive, tremendous benefits of AI, which are, real and are needed, right? So from diagnosing illness to predicting earthquakes. But there's also this acknowledgement that the disruption from the AI revolution could also be significant. It says, as the rate of AI adoption increases, humans are essential to guiding the technology's implementation and usage of these technologies. So I'm just going to drop down to where it says, this point that it pulled out, that executives estimate that up to 40% of their workforce may need to reskill as a result of implementing AI or automation over the next 3 years. This is largely because humans need diverse skills, from technical proficiency to human understanding and adaptability in their thinking, to work most effectively along AI. It says that we need to rethink our approach to reskilling to achieve this goal while ensuring the skills of our workforce match the pace of technological advancement. So at least as of January 2024, there was a recognition and an acknowledgement and at least a desire that employers would work with their workforce and help or assist or support the reskilling. And there, in the next paragraph, it goes further. It says, invest in human capital. First, we must stop fixating on whether AI will impact our lives and start managing the elements within our control. While the ubiquity of AI has caused fear of technologies overtaking human ability, okay, so fear of these technologies overtaking human ability, they say that this is not yet the case. So, again, because I'm going somewhere with this, January of 2024, they say that, they acknowledge that AI creates a fear of overtaking human ability, and they say that this is not yet the case and may never be. Human capital is a much more important asset than ever before. Okay, let's remember that essentially they're saying that the fear of AI technology overtaking human ability, It's not yet the case and may never be the case that AI will never overtake human ability. The next paragraph discusses integrate reskilling as a change management initiative. So again, this is discussing how hiring, CEOs say that hiring is the most important thing that they do. Many companies are entirely disengaged from the process and feel it's their biggest challenge. They do mention that while with constantly evolving demands on jobs and skills, we cannot solely rely on hiring. So they acknowledge that because they cannot solely rely on hiring, the only way to fully prepare organizations and companies for the future is through upskilling and reskilling, which is essentially training, on-the-job training around AI and AI technologies. Leaders need to start viewing reskilling as an organizational change management initiative, preparing workforces for lasting change, and offering them the skills required to thrive in a rapidly evolving market. Okay? Preparing workforces for lasting change and offering them the skills required to thrive in a rapidly evolving job market. Again, this implies reskilling, upskilling, and training existing workers as opposed to hiring or relying on hiring new employees that already possess the AI training, background, skills, and education. Okay, so I'm going to drop this link. That's pretty much what I wanted to pull out, was that in January 2024, the focus was on organizations reskilling, upskilling, and training their existing workforce, and how fast forward to just, a little over a year and a half later, that is not the case any longer. So, closing the AI skills gap, we'll close out this article. Organizations that recognize the value of human capital while embracing advanced technologies will be most prepared for the future of work. Empowering employees with opportunities to reskill will help them better leverage tools, helping to drive business value, improve efficiency, and shape the future of success. So again, the emphasis was on empowering employees with opportunities to reskill, organizations working with and supporting the training, reskilling, and upskilling of existing employees, as opposed to solely relying on new hires. Let's go to the next article. This was published, again, this is a World Economic Forum article. This was published January 8th of this year, January 8th, 2025. This is under their Jobs in the Future of Work section. This is actually the Future of Jobs Report 2025. The jobs of the future and the skills you need to get them. So, again, focusing on the skills that employees will need. So it says about 170 million new jobs will be created by global macro trends this decade. So this is by 2030. The jobs created are equivalent to 14% of today's employment. Alongside 92 million roles will be displaced by these same trends. Now, did they not say a year and a half earlier that AI was not essentially a threat, nor may it ever be, right? Here. That it was a fear. It was a fear that these technologies may overtake human ability. It's not yet the case and may never be. Fast forward a year and a half later, and now we're talking about 92 million roles being displaced by these same trends. Granted, I acknowledge that they say 170 million new jobs will be created by the global macro trends by 2030. However, this is glaringly and appallingly and shockingly different than what was being said by the same organization just a year earlier, right? January 2020, January 2024 to January 2025, a year later, a completely different scenario. So they're saying that this will result in a net employment increase of 78 million jobs, which is fantastic. However, I want to kind of go over what's problematic about this in the next article. And I'm going to drop the link. I really just kind of wanted to show how the difference a year makes from 2024 to 2025. 2024, they were saying that the fear of AI overtaking human ability is just that. It's a fear and it's irrational, and that's not the case last year, and it may never be the case, which I, being a student of AI and the point and the purpose and the reason for it, 100% know that that is absolutely the case, to overtake human ability. The point is to not augment human ability, but in vast swaths of the economy and sectors across the globe actually replace human ability, labor, creativity, so forth. So I'll drop the link down if you're interested in looking at the list of the largest growing and declining jobs. Really quickly, I can just go over the top 5 of the largest growing jobs. It's going to be in agriculture and farm work. The second is light truck and delivery service drivers. The third is software and application developers. The fourth is building framers, basically construction. And then the fifth is sales shops people, so like sales clerks. The top largest declining jobs is going to be cashiers and ticket clerks, administrative assistants, building caretakers, cleaners, and housekeepers, which this is interesting. So it seems like there are going to be like AI caretakers, cleaners, and housekeepers if this is going into decline. Material recording and stock keeping clerks, and printing trade workers, so like printing presses and things like that. So this is the Future of Jobs report from this year, and it talks about the skills workers are going to need to thrive. Now remember, last year in 2024, the conversation was around employers supporting this upskilling and reskilling. Let's take a look at what's actually happening. Okay, this is an article from Forbes magazine, and this was written or published May 4th of this year. So this is now 5 months past the World Economic Forum publishing Future of Jobs. Forbes magazine, and I'll drop the link. The title of the article is, "It's Time to Get Concerned as More Companies Replace Workers with AI." The new workplace trend is not employee friendly. Artificial intelligence and automation technologies are advancing at blazing speed. A growing number of companies are using AI to streamline operations, cut costs, and boost productivity. Consequently, human workers are facing layoffs replaced by AI. So a year and a half on from the World Economic Forum saying that corporations are going to partner essentially with employees and train them and upskill them and help them gain the skills that are needed to continue to be productive in this new technological environment. That has been completely scrapped, and that was never the case. I can assure you that what is happening and what we see happening has always been the plan and the intent. I just wanted to take and walk you through the timeline of what was being said then versus what is actually happening now. And what's actually happening now is that human workers are being replaced by AI. And what I submit to you is that once this replacement is complete, human workers are basically going to be obsolete, which then begs the question, what is everyone supposed to do? And I will cover that in another video. But I really just wanted in this video to take you through the progression and the evolution of the talking points from AI being this irrational fear and that human ingenuity is always going to be needed, to now, this is Forbes magazine in May of 2025 saying that human workers are facing layoffs and they're being replaced by AI. Like it or not, companies need to make tough decisions, including layoffs, to remain competitive. Well, the World Economic Forum in 2024 said that they being companies and corporations, were going to partner with their existing workforce and support them through the reskilling and upskilling process. That was always just smoke and mirrors, okay? That was never going to be the case. What's actually happening now is what the point of AI is, and that's and I want to be clear, this channel is not a, this channel covers AI disruption and it also covers the benefits of AI. So I'm not biased in that regard. I acknowledge both, but I am going to cover factually what's actually happening in real time, both positive and negative. That's what the news is. And so this is saying that, the article is saying that, like it or not, companies need to make tough decisions, including layoffs, to remain competitive. Corporations including Klarna, UPS, Duolingo, Intuit, and Cisco are replacing laid off workers with AI and automation. Replacing them altogether. While these technologies enhance productivity, they raise serious concerns about the future of job security. For many workers, there is a big concern over whether their jobs will be impacted. Economic pressures, inflation, and roller coaster stock prices have pushed firms to prioritize leaner operations. The result is there will be fewer human jobs available. This is Forbes magazine. So on YouTube, and TikTok, I'm not on TikTok. We don't have a TikTok handle, but on both and other platforms, there are people that are in distress over the job market. There are recent college graduates. There are people in the middle of their career. There are people towards the end of their career, near retirement. And I want everyone to be aware that this is Forbes magazine, and they are admitting and reporting that the result is there will be fewer human jobs available. Investor enthusiasm for AI rewards companies that deploy the technology. So there is a financial motivation and component to this. Investors have enthusiasm for companies that deploy AI technology. Okay? Understand that. So there is a financial, monetary wind, tailwind that is causing this phenomenon to increase and the pace to pick up at a faster speed. We've seen numerous occasions in which AI was used in corporate announcements, and their stock share prices rose higher. Okay? So basically, people are being put out of work in favor of AI technology for gains in the stock market, to make money in the stock market. Klarna, a leading buy now, pay later fintech company, made headlines in 2022 when it announced the elimination of over 1,000, or about 10% of its global workforce, as part of a strategic shift towards AI, the company's CEO announced. The company heavily invested in AI to handle customer service inquiries, process transactions, and optimize its operations. Klarna implemented an AI assistant that manages the workload equivalent to 700 full-time staffers. UPS in early 2025 announced plans to lay off 20,000 workers, marking one of the largest workforce reductions in its 116-year history. This is incredibly disruptive. 20,000 workers laid off in one fell swoop. CEO Carol Tomé highlighted that new technologies, including machine learning, enabled these cuts. Okay? She's saying machine learning enabled these cuts by automating tasks like proposal generation for sales teams, which previously required human pricing experts. So that's Klarna, that's UPS, Duolingo, popular language learning app, announced its AI-first strategy. The plan is to phase out human contractors for tasks artificial intelligence can handle. Okay, they're now telling and showing precisely what the point of this technology is, what problem it has always been meant to solve, which is cost reduction for companies and gaps in human skills and the labor market skill set. Intuit, the financial software company behind TurboTax and QuickBooks, laid off about 1,800 employees last year, saying the savings, okay, cost savings. So this is cost savings and efficiency. And I'm not arguing good or bad, but I am pointing out there is a huge disruption and impact on people. And then the next question, the next logical, rational question is, what do those people do, and where do those people who have been laid off go? Cisco announced plans in 2024 to lay off 7% of its workforce, roughly 5,900 employees, as part of a strategic pivot toward high-growth areas like AI and cybersecurity. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap up because we're about to hit time here, but I wanted to walk you through what was being said just in January of last year versus what we're seeing. And I want you to look into this yourself. I'm going to drop all of the links to these articles down below. And start to think about what your future is going to be, what it's going to look like, and what you're going to do if these AI driven cuts come your way and impact you, your family, or someone you know, or maybe it already has. So that's what we do here on this channel. The AI News channel is bring you the latest insights, updates, and analysis, and then also conversation, thought-provoking questions to what are your next steps going to be, so that you're aware of what's happening. This is only going to continue. This is going to get faster. It's going to get more intense. It's going to proliferate. We're going to continue to cover that here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share with someone you know, so that they are in the know as well. I'm going to continue to bring you, insights, data, and analysis so that you're staying ahead of the curve and that you can make decisions for yourself well before these, again, AI-driven decisions start to impact you. Thank you again so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.